Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I want to first point out that it's ironic that in a discussion largely about so-called woke issues, that this is the least diverse panel I've seen in my 9 years in Congress. I love you. You're just like me, middle-aged white businessmen, but we don't represent all the American people. Second, I'd like to point out that, jumping on what my friend Mike Thompson said, in all of the community service work I've done, the incoming emails, 120,000 a year, not a single person has ever raised a woke retirement plan agenda to me. So I'm not quite sure what we're talking about. I also would like to, I love my friends on the other side. They're mostly really good people. I disagree with my friend Dr. Drew Ferguson, though, who says that the only purpose of a business is to make profit. I've been in business 46 years, and we thought part of our job was to serve the customer, to provide good customer service, good products. Part of our job was to hire people who could then build their lives, buy homes, educate their children. I thought part of our job was to serve the community in the best possible way, to strengthen America. And that this notion that Milton Friedman capitalism was the only way to go forward doesn't match the values of almost any business person I know. I know my friend Kevin Hearn, who did very well with McDonald's. I'm sure he was not just about profit. It's important, you know, Edward Deming says the very first rule of business is to survive. So you have to do that. And let me also just mention that my friend Mike Kelly talked about when you go home to Erie, Pennsylvania, people are still hurting. Yes, absolutely people are still hurting. We have income inequality like we haven't seen in 100 years. Right now, we're dead last in the G7 countries in income inequality. 69% of our wealth is controlled by exactly 10% of our population. 2.5% of our wealth is controlled by half of our population. It's never been that bad. Inflation has slowed, but prices got really high, and they're not going back. I often fantasize about what would happen if Donald Trump had won in 2020. What would my Republican friends have blamed the inflation on? This wasn't too much money chasing too few goods. It was enormous supply chain disruptions and a tripling of the profit margins of virtually every business. In the meantime, we have the Inflation Reduction Act, the infrastructure bill, CHIPS and science. All these things are long-term investments. We had labor productivity jumped to 4.7% last quarter, the highest probably in our lifetimes. We're at 4.9% GDP in the third quarter, again, close to the highest in our lifetimes. The JOLTS job I looked up this morning, 9,553,000 jobs advertised. Again, a 2-to-1 ratio, which we've never seen before. But all these are long-term, and it's going to take a while for people really to feel the benefits of it. So let me, Mr. Reese, I want to turn to you. I was fascinated by the notion that in a debate about freedom, as a business person, I never wanted people to tell me how to invest my money. So why are we telling North Face and BlackRock and others, Carlyle, all these, I'm confused. I never thought BlackRock and Carlyle were the drivers of global socialism as I'm hearing today. How can this be? Why should we be telling them how to invest money that people are put in their care because they want to maximize their investment? Why isn't the freedom for let business leaders invest it as they think proper? Because my reading, word for word, from the last thing is that, I don't know if I have it right in front of me. The 2022 AFL-CIO says, the rule clarifies retirement plan fiduciaries may consider, but are not required to consider, ESG factors just as they would consider any other investment factor. Mr. Reese?
That's exactly right, that the 2022 DOL ESG rule protects the ability of retirement plan fiduciaries to consider ESG factors when they're material to investing. And I don't care if you're considering an investment in China or an investment that involves environmental sustainability or workers' rights concerns. Those factors matter for investment returns. And if you put blinders, if you tell retirement plan fiduciaries they have to stick their heads in the sand and ignore these ESG risks, you're doing a grave disservice to the retirement security of America's working families.
It would be interesting to see. I just read that October was the warmest October since we've been keeping records for many hundreds of years. Do you think it might be responsible for an investment manager to think about the downside cost to our environment and our economy of all the things that are coming from climate change?
It would be imprudent not to consider those factors.
Great. Thank you very much, and I yield back, Mr. Chairman.